Ooh, yeah, I like the cut of this guy's jib.
Cause believe me, this is the dance.
Between 1992 and 1994, Todd Gordon's ECW was known as Eastern Championship Wrestling, a National Wrestling Alliance affiliate. ECW was booked by Eddie Gilbert, who got ECW a television deal with Sports Channel Philadelphia in April 1993. But after a falling out with Todd Gordon in September 93, Eddie Gilbert would be replaced and Paul Heyman started booking ECW. By May 1995, Heyman had rebranded ECW as Extreme Championship Wrestling, and he had bought out Gordon to become the owner of ECW. In this list, we rank the top ECW supercards and events that were not pay-per-views. So grab a seat, don't hit somebody over the head with it, kick back, relax, and let's get extreme. Number 8. NWA World Title Tournament 1994. What better way to start off this list than where Extreme begins? Back on August 27th, 1994, a tournament for the vacant NWA World Heavyweight Championship was held at the ECW Arena. The 8-man tournament featured Chris Benoit, 911, Doink the Clown, Too Cold Scorpio, Shane Douglas, the Tasmaniac, Dean Malenko, and New Japan Pro Wrestling's Osamu Nishimura. In the final, the franchise Shane Douglas would face Too Cold Scorpio, seeing Douglas become the new NWA World Heavyweight Champion. However, in his speech after winning the title belt, Shane Douglas would throw down the NWA Championship, stating he will not be the man that accepts a torch to be handed down from an organization that died 7 years ago, and that he would be igniting the new flame of the sport of professional wrestling, picking up the ECW Championship belt and declaring himself the new ECW World Heavyweight Champion. The show would finish off with the Public Enemy, Flyboy Rocco Rock, and Johnny Grunge crossing out Eastern and spray painting Extreme on the ECW banner before Rocco Rock would turn to the camera and declare, "If you think we were hardcore before, now we're gonna take it to the extreme." Number 7. Born to be Wired 1997. Taking place on August 9th, 1997 at the ECW Arena, Born to be Wired centers around a main event no-rope barbed wire match for Terry Funk's ECW World Heavyweight Championship. The event is far from ECW's best show, but it sees standouts like Lil Spike Dudley taking on Bam Bam Bigelow, building up Spike's giant killer gimmick, and Taz versus Al Snow for Taz's World Television title, in a time when Al Snow is on loan from the WWF and about to receive a big push from Heyman, with Taz being in straight-up badass mode. This show is well worth the watch for the second half of the card and the main event, seeing Sabu taking on Terry Funk in a very gory affair. In fact, this match was so extreme it would be the last ever no-rope barbed wire match ECW would run, with Paul Heyman saying he never wanted to put any wrestlers through it again. It sees Sabu's bicep cut open so badly he starts having to use surgical tape to try and seal the wound mid-match. In the end, both men become so badly tangled in barbed wire that Sabu had to pin Terry Funk to become the ECW Heavyweight Champion of the world, despite that not being the booked finish. Then, both men had to be cut out of the tangled mess, resulting in Sabu receiving more than 100 stitches in his arm. This match is not for the faint of heart. Number 6. CyberSlam 1999. Taking place on April 3rd, 1999 at the ECW Arena, in the main event, a 6-man tag team steel cage match seeing Mustafa and the Dudley Boys, Bubba Ray and Devon Dudley, taking on Axl Rotten, Balls Mahoney and New Jack. A Falls Count Anywhere ECW World Heavyweight title match in which Taz defends against Chris Candido, seeing Taz absolutely destroy Candido with a Taz Mission suplex through the table, breaking his neck. He then attacks him after the medical team try to stretcher him out and chokes him out once more. Standout matches include Jerry Lynn vs Yoshihiro Tajiri in a great opener that sets a good tone for the rest of the show, Super Crazy vs Moscow de la Merced showing off some great lucha spots, the ECW World Television title match between the champion Rob Van Dam and Too Cold Scorpio, who are two of the greatest high flyers to ever grace the ECW ring. They really take it to the extreme in this one, and it's well worth checking out, seeing some incredible wrestling that still holds up against anything done today, as well as the match of the night, a highly underrated underrated meeting between Shane Douglas and Just Incredible that should be talked about a lot more as a great match from the ECW days. Number 5. CyberSlam 1996. On February 17th, 1996, in the ECW arena, the first ever CyberSlam event would be held. Although the first half of this event is kind of forgettable, it features an infamous appearance and work shoot by Brian Pillman. He appears after a classic ECW lights out moment and proceeds to rip Eric Bischoff to shreds. He calls out the ECW fans for being smart marks with an insanity that has to be seen to be believed, before he threatens to pull out his little Pillman and take a whiz in the middle of the ring, causing Todd Gordon and Paul Heyman to run to the ring and call for security. Pillman then pulls a fan from the crowd and beats him up before being chased out of the building in this wild scene. The match of the night on this show is an ECW World Television title match in which Too Cold Scorpio defends his championship against Sabu. This is another ECW match that just doesn't get enough love and really should. Too Cold and Sabu go to a 30-minute time limit draw that tells a fantastic story that highlights why Too Cold Scorpio is one of the most underrated wrestlers in history. Do yourself a favor and check this one out if you haven't. Number 4. Hostile City Showdown 1995. On April 15th, 1995, in the ECW arena, Hostile City Showdown gives fans one hell of a show. In the main event, Cactus Jack and Terry Funk would have a wild brawl, seeing tables, chairs, and even a toilet seat get used to assault each other with. Terry Funk breaks a beer bottle over Cactus Jack's head. It takes him several attempts and it's a wild scene. He then breaks together 2 more bottles and he picks up some of the broken glass and rakes it across Cactus Jack's arm, showing off just how hardcore these dudes like to get. Axel and Ian Rotten have a barbed wire baseball bat match that's the usual bloody affair you'd come to expect from the two, who have been feuding at the time and having some insanely bloody gimmick matches. An ECW World Tag Team title match seeing the Public Enemy's Johnny Grunge and Flyboy Rocco Rock defending against the Pitbulls, but all of it fails to even compare to the now classic match for the ECW World Television title, seeing champion Eddie Guerrero take Dean Malenko to an epic draw. This match truly puts both men on the map. Guerrero and Malenko start getting rave reviews in all the pro wrestling magazines around this time for their work in ECW, and this event is a really good example of how ECW had something for every type of wrestling fan, but that Eddie Guerrero versus Dean Malenko match alone makes Hostile City Showdown worth seeking out. Number 3. November to Remember 1995. Taking place on November 18th, 1995 at the ECW Arena, this event would see Paul Heyman come to the ring and ask for the lights to be dimmed, turning them back on to reveal that Sabu had returned to ECW. Sabu had briefly signed to World Championship Wrestling and the ECW fans had been pissed, but once Heyman hugged him, all was forgiven and the fans welcomed him back with open arms. Sandman and Too Cold Scorpio defend their newly won World Tag Team titles against the Public Enemy in a very interesting storyline. The television champion, Too Cold Scorpio, had previously faced Rocco Rock on Hardcore TV with both the tag titles and the TV title on the line. After Scorpio won and defeated the Public Enemy to become the new tag team champions, he chose the Sandman to be his partner. In a now classic Lucha meeting, Rey Mysterio Jr. fights Psychosis in a Mexican death match. The rules are simple. After a pinfall or submission, the opponent must answer a 10 count and return to the ring or they lose. This match really delivers, and it's not hard to see why WCW signs just about every Mexican wrestler ECW discovers. Mikey Whipwreck defends his ECW World Heavyweight Championship against Steve Austin, seeing Steve Austin prove why he's one of the top talents in the world. The main event was Terry Funk and Tommy Dreamer versus Cactus Jack and Raven, which is a fantastic brawl. Cactus had recently turned heel, waging war against the hardcore fans and the style that he was known for. He comes to the ring in a hilarious airbrushed WCW Dungeon of Doom shirt, and that's just the start. He later removes that shirt, revealing another airbrushed masterpiece that says, "Forgive me, Uncle Eric" on the back, and it has Eric Bischoff's face on the front. This leads to the shirt being pulled up over his head with Tommy Dreamer beating on Uncle Eric's face. Definitely a very entertaining ECW show worth watching. Number 2. Heatwave 1996. On July 13th, 1996, from the ECW Arena, the third annual Heatwave event would take place. The main event, a Rage of the Cage match, in which ECW World Heavyweight Champion Raven defends his belt alongside primetime Brian Lee and Stevie Richards, taking on the Sandman, Tommy Dreamer, and Bam Bam Terry Gordy. This match is pure chaos, but it continues the Sandman and Tommy Dreamer's feuds with Raven perfectly, seeing Raven using the Sandman's kid Tyler against him. This match included a crazy chokeslam from the top of the cage, seeing Brian Lee chokeslam Tommy Dreamer through 4 tables to the outside. A standout on this show is Louis Spicolli taking on Sabu. Spicolli was notoriously unliked in most locker rooms, and he and Sabu were close friends, with Sabu being the reason that ECW had hired him. They have great chemistry in the ring, and this match is insane. In fact, it's one of the best matches Sabu ever had in ECW and is a must-see for all Sabu fans. The match of the night, and the reason to watch this show, is the ECW World Television Title 4-way elimination tag match that sees Chris Jericho defending against Shane Douglas, Pitbull 2, and Too Cold Scorpio. This epic 40-minute match shows off how incredible the wrestling at ECW could be and is one of the best matches in ECW history. After a crazy 17 minutes in classic Heyman booking fashion, the champion is eliminated first, making the match incredibly exciting. Too Cold Scorpio is eliminated second, leaving Pitbull 2 and the franchise Shane Douglas to battle it out. This would be the moment that Shane Douglas turns heel, as Francine screws over her Pitbull 2, throwing powder in his eyes, revealing a franchise logo on her underwear, and thus beginning the run as Douglas's head cheerleader. This causes Pitbull 1 to hit the ring for revenge, and poor Francine gets super bombed through a table. Shane Douglas then DDTs Pitbull 1 on a title belt, leaving Pitbull 2 alone to take an insane beating, kicking out of knockdowns from a broken piece of table, brass knuckles, and even a chain, before the franchise is able to hit his signature belly-to-belly suplex, pinning the superhuman Pitbull 2 and becoming the new television champion. Number 1. A Matter of Respect 1996. On May the 11th, 1996, from the ECW Arena, A Matter of Respect was totally centered around Rob Van Dam and Sabu. At the Hostile City Showdown event on April 20th, 1996, Sabu had beaten Rob Van Dam, but RVD refused to shake his hand and walked away, leading to this rematch at A Matter of Respect with a stipulation that the loser must shake the winner's hand and declare their respect for them. The event itself is excellent, opening with Damien and El Puerto Rico, but it's really just an excuse to have Sabu come out and destroy a couple of jobbers. A classic ECW 3-way dance elimination match seeing Raven defending his ECW title against Pitbull 2 and the Sandman. Chris Jericho takes on Mikey Whipwreck in a great match, showing again why World Championship Wrestling is always scouting talent from ECW around this time. And the match of the night, an ECW World Television title match seeing Shane Douglas beat Too Cold Scorpio for the TV title in yet another fantastic Too Cold match that needs to be seen. In the Respect match, RVD and Sabu have an insane battle that expands on their previous clash and then some. When RVD gets the win, the crowd is shocked and becomes very concerned for Sabu, who isn't moving. The ref tries to get Sabu to show respect, but he staggers away, and after a replay, Paul Heyman is in the ring with Sabu saying he's hurt, but he has something to say, calling Rob Van Dam to the ring. Heyman then tells Sabu that he must shake hands and give RVD his respect, but when he tries, Rob Van Dam hits his hand away and says, "Not only do I not respect you, but you're a piece of shit," before he joins Bill Alfonso, shaking his hand and showing him respect, aligning himself with Taz and solidifying a heel status that would be one of ECW's best storylines, as Sabu is in the ring being put onto a stretcher. Was this list extreme enough for you? Did we miss anything? Would you like to see more ECW lists? Give us a follow, chuck us a like, let us know what you think in the comments, and as always from us here at Wrestle Savage, thanks for watching and stay savage, wrestling fans. Woo, yeah! Dig it!